Welcome, welcome. I am Dena, and this is Discussions with Dena. I want to welcome you, and I hope that you and yours are finding this yourself in the best of health and in the best of prosperity. I know a lot of stuff with the coronavirus and things like that. It's taking a lot out of us, so it is good to be able to speak with those that can, in fact, that are alive and able to hear me. So I'm wishing you the best. Now today, I wanted to speak because I saw something that caught my eyes. It was interesting to me. Now, during these difficult times, I said then that it becomes unbearable when you're dealing with a lot of death and destruction around you. There's a lot of events that are going on around us today, and it makes it difficult sometimes to concentrate on what we take for granted. But I want everyone to know that in the midst of everything that's going on, we have to know that this too will pass. It's just like what Bobby Womack said. We have to put up with the toils and strife. So I am wishing you peace and blessings. Now let me get to why I wanted to make this particular commentary. I want to invite you to press the subscribe button, like and share this podcast, and you can listen to Discussions with Dena on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And I also want to invite you to join me on Fridays after midnight for Discussions with Dena After Dark. Now today I wanted to speak on a subject that is near and dear to me. And as you see, the title of this commentary is Slavery, Reparations, and Anti-Diaspora Descendant Sentiments by Brother Vlad. And I wanted to explain just a little bit what I meant by that title. I'm speaking about Black people who make the choice to immigrate to America from other countries that they are from, they are native to, like those on the continent of Africa, or those that live in places like Jamaica or Haiti. Those Black people had a choice of whether or not they would come to America. But those of us who are here and are descendants, we didn't have a choice of whether we would come here or not. Because we were stolen. Our ancestors were stolen and forced to come here to America. And they were stolen by Caucasians or white people, like those of us who have been here. We've learned this, and many of us, even though we don't accept that truth, it is true. It is true. This is factual. Those of us living today in America who descended from stolen Africans and were brought to America had to face some of the most heinous, inhumane treatment that any human being had to face or were prone to. There was never a people on this planet whose very humanity was taken away by another group of people. Our language, our culture, taken. Our God, our spirituality, taken. Our knowledge of self and our knowledge of our people, it was taken. Our dignity and pride, our ability to read and write, our connection to our own tribe, it was taken away from us. Our family of original people that we were stolen from, we had no idea who they were. The ability to do for self and think for self was taken away from us. Even down to our very own clothing, the clothing that were on our bodies. Everything it was also taken away. We didn't even have the ability. Well, we could protect ourselves, but if you are in a place that you're not familiar with, how far do you think you could get? Everything about us that made us the human beings God put us on the earth to be was taken completely away from us. Everything. So we were given, in place of all of this, that every human being on this earth is born with natural, was taken away, and we were given hell and heartache, and we were treated the worst. And we have to stop pretending as if it didn't occur, or afraid to speak the truth of the diaspora and its effect on our people who were brought here and treated inhumanely. So I use the words tormented and terrorized because that's what happened, and it happened for centuries. Everything taken away. And we forget sometimes who that thief was, who the liar and the murderer, the rapist, the beast and oppressor that perpetrated this crime against us, against our humanity. It was a crime against nature. And sometimes we don't like to admit it. But we both know who this person was and is. It was the Caucasian, the person we call the white man or the white person. And we often feel embarrassed or we hesitate to speak the truth. And that is part of the reason why we find ourselves in the situations that we're in today. We were turned inside out and upside down any kind of way. We were just completely lost. And the fact today that if you speak of our treatment here and who were the people that perpetrated it, they call you a racist. How can you be called a racist when you speak of your tormentor? So we walk around like it never ever occurred today. And we are taught to forgive those that trespass against us when many don't even ask for forgiveness because they don't feel as if they did anything wrong. Many feel that it was ordained, that was life. But this was not a mere trespass when we say forgive those that trespass against us. It was far worse. And we cannot pretend that it didn't happen and that our behavior today is not a result of this harsh and cruel treatment at the hands of our white oppressors. We were taken and reduced to almost nothing and forced to build their heaven right here in the hills of North America. Now, many of you would have a problem with me saying and speaking this truth about whom and what was done to us. And frankly, I could care less because it further proves the impact to our mental health. Now, every group can speak about their captivity in their oppression or oppressors, but because we still live among ours, we are taught to pretend or act like they did not play a role in destroying our people and continuing to oppress us. Although often it's covertly, it happens today and it's very much a part of this society. So much so that hearing the truth have many of us feeling like we need to protect the descendants of the kidnappers and terrorizers, and you would choose to hate me or those who would speak the truth of our existence and how we were mistreated, our ancestors were mistreated, and it continues to this day. So many of us as Black people would rather not hear it. They don't want to know how we were terrorized and taught to hate ourselves. And we found this great love, and we would like to pretend that everything is fine when it's not. What we are experiencing is called Stockholm Syndrome. And of course, it took centuries to break our minds and bodies. It took centuries, but time was all they had. Now, they needed to torture, rape, and completely destroy us as a people in order to complete their plan to use our strength and abilities to build their white world, using us, our Black people, to build their very own heaven right here on earth, while sentencing our ancestors and their offspring, and I'm talking about Black stolen people, to pure hell on this earth. Now, these people did not pursue dumb or lazy people to be slaves. No, they knew we were smart, capable, wise, and we had the ability to get done what they needed. And what they needed done was to construct their society. But they knew in our mind, if we were in our right minds, that we would never willingly do what they themselves could not do. So they destroyed us mentally, physically, and spiritually. Like I said before, we have been victims of starvings, rapes, lynching, all manner of torture and terror. And they worked us from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. And they had no sympathy for us all through the centuries. These were hundreds of years. Now, no other group came to our rescue and demanded that we be freed from bondage. Although there were some who found it inhumane, but no other group just took the fight for our freedom from this bondage. And many others, in fact, participated in slavery and saw ways that they could benefit and use our bodies for their own selfish or devilish benefit. They wanted to profit off of us. And as we look through history, it will amaze you the number of companies that built their wealth on the back of our people, all while teaching us to hate ourselves and our Blackness, to the point that, and this includes our Black brothers and sisters in Africa, that we did not like who we were and who we are. Nothing about us, hair, eyes, we all thought those were negative things. Now today, after the struggle for basic freedoms that others enjoyed naturally, and that people are born with and inherited by nature and from God, if you believe in God, we managed to survive. And we began to fight for our own freedom from our oppressors and achieve just the basic, simple rights that all men should have. Black people wanted that. Now, our ancestors had to die, many of them, just to be able to experience what other people enjoyed naturally without being at the mercy of our white oppressors. So to be able to marry, produce children, care for those children, earn a living, just be able to walk down the street without being attacked. This is how bad we were hated. Now there were Black people that were never still, and they cannot relate to us being in bondage and fighting for freedom and simple civil rights that others enjoy. And They can't understand our pain or our suffering at the hands of our white oppressors. Because black people want to care for their own families. They wanted the same privileges again that everybody else enjoyed. So that's where the marching and the fighting and the developing organizations to fight for our freedoms and our liberation. Which leads me to one of the reasons I made the commentary. An entertainer by the name of Akon felt it necessary to speak about what we have had to endure, our experience in our fight for reparations. The fact that we are seeking reparations from the people that caused us pain and treated us inhumanely and still continue to do that today. We still suffer brutality at the hands of these people even today. But because we chose to demand our reparations, we have people who have a problem with that. And one of those people, like I said before, is Akon. Now, Akon was recently on a show called Vlad TV, and he was speaking to Vlad about us. And like I said before, we are the people here, the descendants of slaves in America. And this is what he had to say. I want you all to take a listen, because the questions that are being presented to him are from the host of the show, Vlad TV. His name is Vlad, and he's a Caucasian man that claims to be a Jew. Now, I would like for you to take a listen to the conversation.
How do Senegalese really feel about slavery and what happened? Because, there are a lot of very foul people involved in the slave trade. There was, of course, Europeans, Jews and whites were involved, but, Africans were involved in it as well. They were selling off their enemies, the enemy tribes, and making their money and so forth. Like, how was slavery really looked at out there?
Well, Senegal, we've kind of overcome the thought of slavery. We don't even think about it. The only time we think about it, honestly, is when we're doing tours at Rhode Island. Outside of that, people have lived and moved way beyond the slavery concept of identifying slavery.
Right, because in Senegal, you actually know your history. You can trace your family back 100 generations, whatever else. You still have your names, your real names. Your name, Johnson,
and Jackson,
Washington, and all the other slave owners that were presidents who had slaves during that time, Jefferson, and so forth. Yeah, but you guys actually have your history. That was the whole thing of walking around Senegal. People just felt, it was the first time I felt black people just felt comfortable and no type of disease. I
think it's also the art of just letting the past go and moving towards the future. And I think in the U.S., they have this stigma of just not letting go of the past and blaming the past on every mishap or, disappointment. And I think as long as you hold on to that past, it's just a lot of weight that you carry with you everywhere you go. And it's hard to move forward and move fast. You got to, weight on your back. You just got to let it go.
There's also been no reparations. And there's been,
Yeah, but unfortunately, man, it's not like America is going to take the initiative to do it. Otherwise they would have did it already. Indians got reparations, the Jews got reparations for Holocaust, and it wasn't even done in America. You know what I'm saying?
Italians got reparations.
Japanese got reparations.
Yeah.
It's just, it's to the point now where African Americans have to really understand their worth and realize that America was never or intended to ever, consult or even make up for any of that. They're not sorry. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's obvious. So, do you want to stay here and continue to be treated this way, or just go back home where you're now no longer the minority? You actually are the majority, and you control your destiny and your future and your land.
Yeah. No. Honestly, every black person who has an issue with how people are treated in America, they really should go to Africa.
They need to. They just need to go.
99% of them have not.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
And they're super afraid to go.
A few Michael Jai Whites have gone back, and the John Sallys have gone back. The people with money, and means. But the average black person in America has no idea how dope Africa really is.
I'm telling you, man. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, America did a great job brainwashing. Because I'm telling you, the moment you mention Africa, they start shaking. They don't even know why.
There's just tigers jumping into your hotel.
Right.
Zebra attacks and
and the potential there is so ridiculous, man.
Now, what you just heard was Akon speaking on slavery here in the United States and our seeking reparations. Now, whenever we hear black people like him speaking like this, I feel the need to call him out and remind him of our sacrifices that he reaps today as a result of us being here. Now, to say that black people are scared, I don't think most black people are scared, even though white people did do a good job of poisoning us, which was part of keeping us in captivity and separating us from the motherland. It's giving us a bad idea of a representation of that continent. But for him to say that we should just forget about it, it's insulting. And I feel like white people who were, and even today covertly, are still oppressing us, but it is done so subtle that many of us miss it. It is hypocritical for them to say or ask us, why do we make everything about race? Or why do we seek reparations? Or why do we think we deserve it? And this is why I think we should all collectively respond that we need to remind them that they made race important. We are simply exhibiting symptoms of the disease, and they created this disease and spread it around the entire world. Now, you don't take a people, steal them, and remove all knowledge of self and expect us to simply expect nothing from you for what you have done. You owe us, and the debt is due. And just as every other person, every other people wanted reparations, we deserve it. We earned it. We built this country. We had to, and we're still trying to gather ourselves and get back to the people that we once were. So for them to tell and speak as if we have no right and should just simply move on and not request or seek our reparations or demand our reparations, is just asinine. Now, Akon did a lot of talking about his success, but he seems to forget that black people here in America fought for civil rights and human rights that he benefits from, and that his fame and his fortune would not exist today had it not been for our fight here in America for basic civil rights. The Akon is one of those people that mimicked the black men that are here in America. They mimicked because he came here. Why did you come here, Akon? You were there. You never lost knowledge of yourself in your wonderful country. Why were you here? That's my question. Now, many of us have forgotten the marching, the sacrifice, the Jim Crow, and the tremendous strength that it took to take on this oppressor. And we like to lay down our legacy. And sometimes we want to sweep it on the rug, and we are told. We're the only people that are told. Forget about it. Move you telling the Japanese, the Jewish people, so on, the Indians. Forget about it. Move on. You don't listen. We're going to continue to fight for our reparations because we have a legacy here. And this entire place, people blood, many of our people, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, Elijah Muhammad, all of these people sacrificed, and they demanded that we have a better quality of life right here. So for Akon or any other person, a white person, to have the audacity to say that we who have survived the worst kind of Holocaust should just forget it, it is disrespectful and thoughtless rhetoric. Now I want to know, Mr. Vlad, would you go tell your Jewish ancestors? Akon, would you go tell the Jewish people to forget their Holocaust? Forget what they have experienced and move on? It's funny how I didn't hear him say that. So learn from it. Never forget it. Never forget it. Remind people. This so, like I said, the soil is drenched in our ancestors' blood. And we can't give up the fight for getting what is owed to us. So we don't need people like Akon, even though he is a black man. And he is part of the black nation of people. But we don't need those who don't know or understand or appreciate our struggle and sacrifice, even though they benefit from it, telling us what is in our best interest. We need you to support us, shut up, or back off. But we don't need you to tell us what is in our best interest. That is for us to decide. Now, there are so many things that have is so raveled up within our minds and our bodies as black people here that the society has put in us that came under the heading of white supremacy, under their agenda. One of which is the education system. Media, food, clothing, all of these things have contributed and continue to contribute to our lives. Even though this stuff is not really native to us, it has become our life, and this is what we know. So even if we were to implant ourselves in Africa, it would also, we would be out of place. It would seem odd to us or unfamiliar. It doesn't mean we couldn't learn it, but it just means that we have to accept that this is our land too. Africa is our motherland, but this is our land too. We're owning it. It's ours. So we deserve reparations, and we will eventually get those reparations. But I just find it disrespectful for Akon to say what he said. I mean, it's like a slap in the face almost. And I felt the need to speak on it. And I don't know why so many people think that they have a right to come and tell us what is in our best interest. I find it silly talk. It's somehow they think that they are superior. So I can go tell black people whatever I want to say to them and just get over it and move on, and they're